Georgia basketball coach Tom Crean, good enough to join us here for a couple of minutes on DawgNation Daily, presented by Meriwether and Tharp. Coach Crean, congratulations to you and your team for what was a really fun win last night, and thank you so much for spending a couple of minutes with us on the program here today.
You're welcome. You're welcome. I appreciate you asking, and thank you.
So let me start with this. Obviously, we know it snapped for Georgia, kind of a losing streak against the Wildcats, dating back, I think, 8 years, 14 games, I believe, was the streak. When you're coaching in a game like that with these young players who weren't around for games like that, and some of them may not even be fully aware of the Kentucky mystique, how much does Kentucky's history, both recent and long-term, hang over the court in a game like the one you coached last night or like the previous games you've coached in against Kentucky?
Well, I think it's important that you don't let it. I think it's important that you cover it, right? I don't think you can ignore it. I think you cover it, and that you're not playing the tradition. You're not playing the mystique and the mystery. You're not playing the jersey. You're playing the players inside of it, and you try to get them to understand, and then you don't spend much time on it. You spend the majority of your time on what you've got to do to get yourself to win by eliminating losing. You know, how you block out, how you get back in transition defense, how you challenge shots, how we cut and move without the ball. But I do think it is important to address that, and I don't address it much, but I address it enough to where they understand it. But again, it's easier said than done. They have to play that way. It's a big deal. You know, when you play Kentucky, it doesn't matter about anybody's record or any of that type of stuff. What matters is it's Kentucky. And so you just put it in context that the most important thing is, okay, this is what we've got to take away from this guy. This is what we've got to take away from that guy. And you try to stay focused on that.
When I'm watching your team, I'm seeing an entertaining brand of basketball. I would say that Severe Wheeler is one of the quickest players in the SEC, moving 94 feet. Katie Johnson's obviously brought a big offensive spark since he's become eligible. How happy are you right now with the energy with which your team is playing with? Certainly it seems like we saw, it was not a perfect game, obviously, and I think you would attest to that, but a lot of energy from your team last night. How happy are you with that right now?
Well, I'm happy with the spirit, and I think the spirit creates energy, and the spirit creates belief. The spirit creates camaraderie, and that's the most important thing. You can never let the game or an individual in the game take your spirit, and I thought that happened a little bit in Auburn and at Arkansas. We didn't have the same spirit to win the game. We didn't have the same connectivity, and when we got down, we didn't believe we could win. And I think in the Ole Miss game, and then certainly in this game, parlayed into the fact that we never lost that belief. So it's tough when you're playing Kentucky. That they're not a fast-paced team. They want to make the game in the half court. You're dealing with a lot of length. You're dealing with a lot of size. You're dealing with talent. You've got to be really able to stay connected. Defensively, I thought maybe as big a key to the game, outside of the lack of turnovers for us and the way we were able to capitalize on theirs, was the 1 for 13 3-point shooting.
Yeah.
Because they do have a guy that was shooting 50% in league, and number 11, Dante Allen. And so those kind of things where the energy is really strong, possession after possession, even when you're not scoring, when teams that struggle defensively a lot of times are because they're living in the past, because they just missed a shot or were struggling getting our offense going. And I think last night and against Ole Miss, we didn't do that.
Yeah, you mentioned that a moment ago. I think it's kind of an interesting point that obviously a very nice run through the non-conference slate, kind of a tough schedule to start your SEC play on the road, some tough venues. And, obviously there's that need to kind of change the momentum. Beyond just beating a blue blood team that everybody knows in Kentucky, how important have the last two games been for your team in terms of kind of reestablishing your footing within SEC play now?
Well, I think that's the result of it. But I think the most important thing is the way we've responded from those games. And like I told this team, we won the Ole Miss game on Thursday and Friday with the way that they responded and the way that they responded in practice, the way they responded in the Ole Miss hotel ballroom when we're watching film and walking through on Friday night, because that created their spirit again. And I loved our locker room, our pregame locker room before Ole Miss, which is, to me as a coach, is something that it's a big judgment for me. If that locker room feels good on the road, and you're in there with them, and they're looking back at you, and you're getting energy from them, now you feel you're going to have a chance. And I felt like that, in that game. And so I think those things are what you concentrate most on as a coach and trying to get it right. And then the record, you just take each game as it comes. But you've got to have your team connected. And it's harder and harder. I think every team is going through it, and especially with us having 8 new players that didn't have a full summer together, that didn't have the spring. You know, the guys that have played the most are 2 sophomores in Tumani and Severe, and then you throw in Ty Fagan, and everybody else is new that's playing. Yeah. So it takes time, and especially in a pandemic year like this, where everything is so different. And so the mental challenge of this is really crucial. And that's where camaraderie and togetherness come in, and then they start to understand, hey, I can do a lot more when I'm bringing energy to my teammates because they're bringing energy to me. And it sounds simple, but it's complicated because it's not easy to do that. And that's what we just got to continue to build constantly as a coach and as a program, and that's how you gain momentum.
You mentioned the pandemic. I was telling some of our audience before you joined us that it was a little bit bittersweet for me last night in that in a normal situation when you guys were on your way to winning a thriller versus Kentucky, we'd see Stegman Coliseum. Everybody stands up and you get the big roars and maybe even a storming of the court once the game was over. That's kind of those of us who grew up loving college basketball. Those are the images about the sport we really love. That's not possible right now. I'm sure that you probably find yourself noticing lots of things like that, navigating a season unlike any other for college basketball. You know, what are the feelings that kind of conjure up for you, even when good things are happening, of just how different this season really is?
I feel bad for the fans, and I feel bad for our team not having that energy from them. And I think that, again, is why the mental toughness and to be able to overcome things. As I tell them every day, if you can control what you can control and you really, really focus on that, and you can deal with the adversity, we're going to all be so much better off in life when this passes. And we're here together, right? And like the Bible says, for a time such as this, I mean, we're here together in this situation, and the best thing we can do is help each other through it constantly. You know, they're isolated in so many situations, and nothing's normal, and this becomes the new normal. Well, at the end of the day, it's not going to be like that forever.
Right.
So the more that you can control it inside of this, the better you're going to be down the road. The most important thing, though, is that we stay constantly focused on how we control it every day. And that's why your attitude, the energy that you come with, not being distracted and not letting things get you down, that's the stuff that you've got to work at all the time. And because then they get into the games and everybody's going through the same thing. It's all how you respond to it and how you help each other. So I know I keep saying that, but that is the absolute key to how you get through these type of situations right now. No one can do it alone. I mean, you've got to continue to, whether it's reminding somebody to keep their mask on, whether it's reminding somebody to call out a pick, you know, whatever it is, you've got to communicate with each other constantly and understand that's what's going to help you through it.
Well, I'll finish with this, Coach. Congratulations. A great win last night. Certainly fun to see. Around here, we don't like the Florida Gators very much. You guys got a chance to beat up on them.
I heard that about you. I heard you don't like them extra. Mike Griffith passed that on.
Well, it would be nothing. Would be better for us this upcoming weekend to see the Dogs get another big win against Florida. So best of luck to you in that game. And certainly appreciate your time today. We'll look forward to getting a chance to chat with you soon.
You're very welcome. Thanks for having me.